Time now for the Nick Hart Show, our weekly chat with the head coach of the Gibson Southern Titans, Nick Hart. The show is presented by the Gibson Southern Football Boosters and brought to you by A&B Contracting, LLC, AgriGold, Best One Tire, Chips, SellMyTees.com, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Daylight Land Management, DuBois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Duke Energy, Elite Insulation, Emerson Cattle Company, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Foster Construction, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Snap-on Tools, Grant Rydens, Hilliard Lyons, Ignite Heating and Air, in loving memory of Zach Bailey, in memory of Darwin and Eric Callis, Julia's School of Dance, Kissel Farms Incorporated, Eleanor Off-Road of Owensville, MyTech Systems, Pegram Concrete LLC, Princeton Auto Park, Pro Rehab, Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, Reinbrecht Homes, Right to Bear Arms, Rogers Bit Service LLC, Sandy's Pizza, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, South Gibson Grain, Sin Energy Partners LLC, Trapping and Removal of Animal Pest, 10 Barge Seed, TYFL, Vertical Tile Incorporated, Hobb Range Hood Company, Ziliac Enterprises, Beatles Towing, First Bank of Princeton, Johnson Commercial Mowing, Make Your Mark, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Martin's Auto Service, Kathy Solomon Photography, Scheller's Carriage Inn, United Fidelity Bank, and by Wabash Valley College. The Nick Hart Show, presented by the Gibson Southern Football Boosters, starts now on 89.1 The Bash.
Welcome to the Nick Hart Show. I am Bob Bowser, and joining me is head coach of the Gibson Southern Titans, Nick Hart. And coach, your Titans are now 5-2 overall and 4-1 in the Pocket Athletic Conference after defeating Pike Central on Friday night 72-6. So let's take a look at the team and individual stats from the win for the Titans this past Friday. First of all, when you look at the total offense, Pike Central had 176 yards, while your Gibson Southern Titans amassed 493 yards of offense. Rushing yards, Pike Central had 76 rushing yards, and the Titans had 302 rushing yards. It seems kind of weird. 302 rushing yards. You know, the past several years you would think, well, that's the passing yards, and now the passing yards would be the rushing. But either way, the passing yards, 100 for Pike Central, 191 for the Titans. Fumbles, Pike Central had 4 fumbles. They lost 3 of them. Ended up with 4 turnovers on the game for Pike Central. Your Titans, most importantly, though, had 0. And I think that's one big key. In a ball game like this, they didn't get careless with the football.
No, not at all. And, you know, that's been a little bit of an issue for us. We've probably lost more fumbles this year than we have the past couple combined. So, you know, it's been a big point of emphasis for us, and we did a great job taking care of the football.
Well, and then looking at the penalties, Pike Central had 2 penalties for 20 yards, while your Titans had 6 for 55 yards. So, and I really don't remember anything out of the ordinary on the penalty yards, so I think we can handle that.
Yeah, we had the blindside block on the kickoff return, and it was a correct call. That's just, you know, it's really tough, and I 100% understand why it's a rule now, and they're trying to take those type of hits out of the game. But it's really hard to coach that because it's a natural instinct. You know, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, it would have been a great block. You know, now it costs you 15. So, you know, it's tough, but there's obviously a reason why they're trying to get those hits out of the game.
All right, so let's get into the individual stats here on the offensive side. Brady Allen had an outstanding night, 11 for 14 for 191 yards and 4 touchdowns. And really, when you're looking at it, 11 for 14, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, I thought our whole passing game was really solid. I thought our receivers did a great job. I thought other than like one time, we had really good pass protection. And so, you know, we always kind of talk about all 3 of those things having to come together, you know, with the throws, the receivers, and the protection. And I thought all 3 of those were really good.
Then looking at the rushing stats, Mitchell Spindler had 13 carries for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tucker Bowes gets in there with 3 carries for 38 yards and a touchdown. Owen Bryant had 5 carries for 30 yards. Nathan Bowes had 5 carries for 24 yards. Brady Allen had 2 carries for 11 yards and a touchdown, and one of those carries, Jason and I talked on air on Friday night immediately when it happened. He made the right decision. The pass wasn't there. He took off and got the first down.
Yeah, one thing I really liked about it too is as a young kid that's learning, one thing we've been trying to coach is a lot of times when you get like some edge pressure, and our O-line did a good job with pass protection. Like you said, it was kind of like a coverage sack, even though it wasn't a sack. But he escaped to where the pressure came from. Your natural instinct is to go away from the pressure, but they already have their momentum going that way to catch you. And run you down, and you run into where the other tackle is pass protecting. So he did a good job of escaping where the pressure came from, and that was what we want out of him. And again, a savvy move here is he's kind of progressing and maturing on those things.
Then Ben Luttrell had 2 carries for 11 yards. Seth DeLong had a carry for 8 yards, and Lucas Ploss gets first carry of the season, I believe, for 1 yard and a touchdown. Looking at the receiving stats, Dawson Witt had 5 receptions for 131 yards and 3 touchdowns. Andrew Smith had 1 reception for 28 yards and a touchdown. Seth DeLong had 2 receptions for 15 yards. Adam May had a reception for 9 yards, and I know he just wishes that he had that extra 6 inches on that one. Ben Butler, 2 receptions for 8 yards. So pretty good night for the receivers all the way around. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different guys catching the football.
Yeah, I thought it was a great night out of our receivers. They got open. They caught the ball. Maybe just as important is I did not think the week before that our perimeter blocking was very good on, bubble screens and outside runs and stuff. I thought our perimeter blocking was much better on Friday night. And again, obviously the opponent's a little bit different, but just the effort that we had on the outside with our perimeter blocking, I thought was very, very good compared to where it was a week ago.
All right, so let's flip the script. Let's go over to the defensive side for some individual statistics as Max Beatles leads the way this week. Max had 5 solo and 3 assists. Colton Stefanich had 4 solo tackles. One of those was a tackle for loss. McCray Robinson had 4 solo, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack. Sterling Stocker had 3 solo, 2 assists, and a tackle for loss. Brendan Bittner had 3 solo, an assist, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. And one thing I'm going to go back to, McCray Robinson, I believe, was the one that got the safety.
Yes, yep.
He never tackled the guy in the end zone. He just kept driving him like a tackling dummy. He just kept driving him, and he was going to go all the way to Evansville with him.
Yeah, it was a great play. I don't know the last time we got a safety. It was a great play by our defense. I thought our defense did a wonderful job on Friday night. I do the defensive stats and had to press the slow button on film a lot to see who actually got there first to get credit for a tackle. So I thought we did a great job of pursuing and getting to the football on Friday.
Well, and as I'll note here too for our listeners, there's several other guys on here that had 2 and 3 tackles as solo tackles. But there's so many to list that we could really be here for the entire time of our programming. So, it was a good team defensive effort on Friday night.
Yes, it really was. And, I thought we did, like I said, a great job of getting a lot of guys to the football.
All right, Coach, so let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll get your overall thoughts from Game 7 concerning the offense, defense, and special teams. But right now, we need to thank some of the folks that make the Nick Hart Show possible on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Sin Energy Partners, LLC. Trapping and removal of animal pests. 10 Barge Seed. TYFL. Vertical Tile Incorporated. Hobb Range Hood Company. Ziliak Enterprises. Beatles Towing. First Bank of Princeton. Johnson Commercial Mowing. Make Your Mark. Mayflower Gardens and Gifts. Martin's Auto Service, Kathy Solman Photography, Scheller's Carriage Inn, and by United Fidelity Bank. Are you interested in learning how modern firearms are made and operated? Then the gunsmithing program at Wabash Valley College could be your silver bullet. Learn the basic knowledge and skills of gun repair and custom manufacturing. In our spacious lab, you'll build 3 modern firearms, a Model 1911 pistol, an AR-15 rifle, and a bolt-action rifle. Career opportunities include top manufacturers, law enforcement agencies, and more. The shooting industry is booming. Contact WVC to learn more at 618-262-8641 or visit www.iecc.edu/WVC.
Thank you for listening to 89.1 The Bash and the Nick Hart Show. All right, Coach, let's start with your thoughts on the offense from week number 7 against Pike Central. And before you get started, I'm going to say this is one of those ball games. In the last 3, you've had pretty tough ball games. You had Henderson County, Princeton, and now and just last week you had Heritage Hills. Henderson County is a very good large school in Kentucky. Heritage Hills, we know that they're undefeated still and rolling quite well this season. Princeton is a pretty good ball club. Now, it doesn't show up necessarily on the record side of things, but you get out there on the field with them, and they've got some athletes, and they played very well. So this game, I thought more for your offense and defense and your special teams. It was a chance to get the mojo back after these 3, and I really think by seeing the electricity and the excitement of the kids on all phases of this game, I saw the mojo back.
Well, before we talk offense, that was actually a big point of emphasis for us this week. I didn't think, not that we weren't excited to play Heritage Hills, and our kids didn't have excitement, but I did not like the excitement that we played with. I thought we could have been a lot better teammates in that game when other guys made plays get excited, not just when I do. So it was a big point of emphasis for us this week, and I thought our kids did a great job of that. And especially, they carried it throughout the first half, with our first group. And sometimes it's hard to do when you get up big, to keep being excited and stuff. And I really thought we were. But offensively, the one thing I was really happy about is I thought we played a very clean game. Like you said, no turnovers. I think we only had one silly penalty on offense, like a pre-snap penalty where we were offsides. Those type of things, no bad snaps. We stayed in routine. We stayed on schedule. All of those things, no drop balls, all of those type of things that we had kind of been doing against good defenses. Like good defenses are going to make their own stops. We don't need to help them make stops, but by making unforced mistakes on our part. And I thought we did a really good job of that on Friday night of not having any of those type of mistakes, and we played very clean throughout the night.
Well, and then on the defensive side, early in the first half of that ball game, the only time that Pike even crossed the 50-yard line, they did get down to the 26 and turned it over on downs, but that was a case where, Pike Central, hey, they made some plays. They're a varsity ball club. That's why they're playing the game. And they made some plays and got down the field. But your defense bowed its neck. They stiffened up and said, you know what? This is as close as you're going to get against us tonight.
Yeah, and on that drive, too, they had a big play on a fader out. Bo made a great play on the ball and tipped it, and it landed right in the kid's belly as he dove to the ground. And, again, those things are going to happen. But I thought we played very well defensively. I was really happy, again, with the energy and excitement that we played with on that side of the ball. Caused a lot of turnovers, got a safety. I thought that, in the Fields kid is really tough to bring down. So I thought we did a great job of getting a lot of Titan players, to the football to help bring him down whenever he broke tackles. So, I thought it was a really good night. I thought we played, you said it earlier, great team defense. Sometimes on defense you have to cause the play and not make the play. And we didn't have a lot of people causing plays the past few weeks, and we had a lot of guys cause plays this week so their teammates could make plays. I thought it was a very good effort out of our defense.
Well, now let's go to the third and final phase, the special teams. And right off the bat, the very first thing, you caught me off guard. I'm surprised I didn't have a stroke on air. You get down with the touchdown, then all of a sudden, boom, here comes a 2-point conversion. I'm sitting there saying, you got a kid that's made 100% of his kicks. What are we doing? Okay, it worked. That's why I'm up in the booth.
Yeah, it was something we saw on film on them about they didn't have a fake guy over on the left side, and they brought a lot of heat. And so we put it in this week, and we had planned to fake that first one, after the first touchdown, and our kids executed very well. We had good protection. Adam did a great job. Adam May did a great job of rolling out and finding Caleb Sellers on that. So excellent execution on that. We returned a kickoff for a touchdown, which the last one I think was in 2015 that we had. Return a kickoff for a touchdown. I thought our special teams was really solid. Our kickoff team was excellent the entire night on coverage. I thought special teams was very, very good for us.
Well, and even with the one high snap,
yep.
I think it was the second or third extra point. The third extra point. The high snap, Adam May still got up there and got the ball, and then he didn't even try to bend that back down. He just bent over at the waist, put it back down on the tee, and they gave it a great effort, but by that time the timing was messed up and it got blocked. So still yet, that doesn't happen very often. A lot of times you don't even catch that ball, first of all, but Adam May made a play on catching that high snap. Then I would have loved to have seen the fire drill just take place.
Yeah, that's probably what should have happened because we got thrown off a rhythm enough there, but a great effort by him to try and get it back down. And again, if we would have had it's a long time to protect whenever something like that happens, but if we would have had a little bit better protection, we let a guy get inside of us, we still would have been able to get that off and get it through. But I thought again as a whole, taking that one play out of it, the special teams was just really, really good.
Well, and I think Bryce made something like 30 in a row. So you know what? Here's to another 30 in a row, which means we're doing some good things over the next several weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we've taken a look there at the offense, defense, and special teams from this past Friday night. So, Coach, let's take another break here as we need to thank some of the supporters of the Nick Hart Show. And when we come back, we will take a look around the Pocket Athletic Conference to wrap up Week 7 and get prepared for Week 8 as you are listening to the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Ignite Heating and Air, Hilliard Lyons, Snap-on Tools Grant Bridens, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Emerson Cattle Company, Elite Insulation, Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Daylight Land Management, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Chips, SellMyTees.com, Best One Tire, Agrigold, and by A&B Contracting LLC. You love sports. You're your team's ultimate fan. Why not turn that passion into the ultimate career? Enroll now in the brand new Sports Marketing and Media program at Wabash Valley College. Learn how to use digital video and other media to add to the fan experience, how to engage fans on social media, and how to create excitement by hosting events and promotions. Get off the sidelines and into the game. Find out more about the WVC Sports Marketing and Media program online at www.iecc.edu or by phone at 618-262-8641.
Welcome back to the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash. I am Bob Bowser, and joining me is head coach of the Titans, Nick Hart. So, Coach, week number 7 in the Pocket Athletic Conference goes down like this. It was an all-conference affair this past Friday night, the last Friday in September. Of course, your Gibson Southern Titans defeat Pike Central 72-6. Heritage Hills defeats Southridge 24-17. That was a barn burner of a game that was determined in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it really was. Just from reading and hearing, I haven't seen anything yet. But Southridge, we know how good Heritage Hills is, and Southridge obviously is starting to play really good football here towards the end of the year. Guessing they've gotten some guys back from injury and stuff. I know they were really banged up earlier in the year, and I think they're going to be a force down in 2A whenever the playoffs start, and we got a big one with them next week. But great win for Heritage Hills, and they're really in the driver's seat in the conference right now.
Well, and then another nail biter of a game. North Posey defeats Tell City 17-14.
And that was a great ball game, and we'll talk more about Tell City coming up here. But North Posey kind of got out on them early. And Tell City really, they ran out of time. They made it 17-14 with a couple minutes left. They got the ball back, and they got the ball down to about the 20-25-yard line going in to score when they ran out of time. So they really kind of had a chance to have a chance to win it at the end. Really good game that came right down to the end.
Well, and then the final game on the slate for Friday night, South Spencer defeats Forest Park 49-16. The Rebels are on a roll.
They are. And, first-year head coach and, a complete, they were like a double-tied eye team in the past, and now going to Coach Edge's spread had to be a little bit of culture shock. And you can see here these past few weeks that they're starting to put up some numbers on offense and really starting to play some good football.
Now, are they a 2A ball club?
Yep.
So they could really, make some noise in that 2A playoffs as well.
Yep.
All right, so now looking at the standings for the Pocket Athletic Conference, Heritage Hills is 5-0 in conference play, 7-0 overall. Your Titans are now 4-1, 5-2 overall. So is Southridge at 4-1 and 5-2 overall. North Posey is 3-3 in conference play, 3-4 overall. South Spencer is 2-4, 2-5 in overall. Tell City is 1-4, 2-5 overall. Forest Park is 1-4, 1-6 overall, as is Pike Central at 1-4 and 1-6 overall. So looking ahead to this next Friday night, it'll be Forest Park at Heritage Hills. Rangers, bring your hats with you because it's going to be a heck of a ball game there in the jungle.
Yeah, Heritage Hills is just playing really good football right now, and they're I think the one thing, and Coach Wilkerson's a good coach, he'll make sure this doesn't happen. You come off a couple big wins, they beat us, they beat Southridge in back-to-back weeks. You're going to play a team whose record isn't that of what you've been playing. That's tendency to have a letdown there, but I know that coaching staff will be on them pretty hard this week and won't let that happen.
Then North Posey will be at Tecumseh. Tecumseh's had a couple victories against the PAC earlier in the season, so it's time for North Posey to get the Pocket Athletic Conference on top in this matchup.
Yeah, I think they will. I think as they kind of got through the tough part of their schedule, they're starting to string together some wins, and hopefully they'll get one on Friday night.
Then South Spencer will be at Boonville. That's going to be a hard one for the Rebels. I mean, you're talking potentially the most improved team overall in 1 year's time. Yeah,
Boonville's playing really well, undefeated, obviously, but South Spencer is starting to play a lot better, and I think they'll hang with them for a while and make them uncomfortable.
Well, and then the final game, well, not the final game, because we're going to talk about the final game later, which will be you and Tell City, but Southridge at Pike Central on Friday night at 6:30 p.m.
Yeah, Southridge coming off a tough loss, and we'll be looking to get back rolling before they play us next week.
All right, Coach, there's one more segment to go, which means it is time to get the listeners ready for Friday night as your team prepares to travel to Tell City. But first, let's thank some of the underwriters of the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by South Gibson Grain, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Sandy's Pizza, Rogers Bit Service LLC, Right to Bear Arms, Reinbrecht Homes, Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, Pro Rehab, Princeton Auto Park, Pegram Concrete LLC, MyTech Systems, in loving memory of Zach Bailey, in memory of Darwin and Eric Callis, Eleanor Off-Road of Owensville, Kissel Farms Incorporated, and by Julia's School of Dance.
The Diesel Equipment Technology program at Wabash Valley College will train students to become successful diesel equipment technicians. Students will spend equal time in the lab and classroom while learning theory and operation of diesel equipment. Students will also complete an internship during their 2-year degree program. For more information about the Diesel Equipment Technology program, call WVC today at 618-262-8641 or visit www.iecc.edu/WVC.
Welcome back to the Nick Hart Show right here on 89.1 The Bash, or you may be using the free app to access the show on your cell phone. So, Coach, week number 8, your Titans will travel to Tell City for a 7 p.m. ball game. And we will have all the action live on 89.1 The Bash with pregame at 6:45 p.m. The marksman will enter this contest with a record of 2-5 overall, 1-4 in conference play. And when I look at the stats, for myself being on the math kind of geek, when you look at this ball club, they're 1-4 in the conference, they're 2-5 overall, and they've only given up 124 points to their opposition all season. That's not very characteristic of a team that's 2-5 overall.
Yeah, well, I think, and this will be the message our team gets this week. Better be ready to play. Whenever you go down there, because if you look at their record, they lost one game in overtime. They lost last week by 3 points. They lost another game by 1 point. So those games can easily be flipped, and they're 5-2 instead of 2-5. A week ago, they played Southridge to a 31-18 final. And early in the year, when they were still trying to kind of find themselves a little bit, Heritage Hills beat them 49-0, but it was 14-0 at the half. So they've hung with some really good football teams, and in some close games, they just haven't found, they've been short one play along the way. So they are very, very capable, and we better, take that long trip down there and be ready to play come Friday night.
All right, so what do you expect to see from the marksmen on offense?
Ball control. And, I think no secret they want to run the football. They want to control the clock. They're going to run the play clock down and try and really shorten the game. I think we have them at somewhere like 85, 86% run on the season. And so, they know that people know they want to run the football. And so we got to stop it. You're going to see a lot of things out of them. Flex bone, wishbone, some variations out of that. And then, I'll tell you where they really got rolling against North Posey is they got in double tight eye and started running some of their like power pitch stuff that they run out of their double wing stuff out of the double tight eye, and they had a lot of success out of it. They got a very good running back, a stable of running backs, but one really good one, and so they do a good job of kind of getting in some different sets and stuff, to try and get people the football in different ways. So it's a lot to prepare for defensively. And, we kind of talked about this in the Heritage Hills game, and this is true when the team wants to control the ball and control the clock and stuff. You got to get off the field early so they can't control the clock. And the big thing for us that we didn't do against Heritage Hills that we're going to have to do this week is win on first down. If you play these running ball control offenses and you win on first down and you get them into 2nd and 10 instead of 2nd and 5, they're a lot more uncomfortable, and you've got a lot better chance of getting a stop. So we got to do a lot better job of winning first down than what we did against Heritage Hills a week ago.
Well, when the other team's going to play ball control such as this, and you talk about winning on first down, that leaves your team not much room. The margin of error is very short, especially when you get onto the offensive side, because now you might start pressing in order to put points up on the board and try to do it too quick instead of at the pace that you want to do it at. So what do you expect to see from the marksmen on defense to try and slow you down?
They're a 4-4 team or a 4-2-5, whatever you want to call it. Very disciplined. They're kind of one of those teams that line up. We don't have one of the unfortunate things about our conference. We don't have a ton of tape of them playing against spread teams. South Spencer and Pike Central are the two that we've kind of seen them play against spread teams. Everybody else has been in the wing T. Even their non-conference has been like wing T type of teams. So we don't have a great idea. We have a decent idea, but not a great idea about how they're going to handle some of the spread stuff. But they're a 4-4, 4-2-5 team. They don't they're one of those teams we're going to line up. You know how we're going to line up, and we're going to get after you and play football. So there's not a whole lot of blitzing, stunting, all that type of stuff. They're going to line up and get after you and play football.
All right, so let's go now to the third and final phase, the special teams. What have you seen from their kickers and returners and so forth in the kicking game?
Oh, I think their returners are dangerous because they got their athletes that carry the football for them on a regular basis back there to return. They go for two every time after touchdowns. And the kickoff guy is a toe puncher, and he'll put it down to about the 15 or so. Punt game's very solid. So I think they got a first-year head coach, and I think he's done a very good job on getting them ready to play on offense, defense, and special teams.
All right, Coach. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. Anything else you would like to add for this week?
No, sir.
All right. Well, good luck on Friday night. We'll see you after the game on the post-game show, and best of luck to the players. We would like to thank all of you for joining us here on 89.1 The Bash for the Nick Hart Show. And be sure to catch us each week at 7 p.m. on Tuesday night for your look inside Gibson Southern Titans football. Before we sign off, though, we would like to thank all of the supporters of the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is a special sports presentation of 89.1 The Bash, made possible by the Gibson Southern Football Boosters and these sponsors: Ziliak Enterprises, Hobb Range Hood Company, Vertical Tile Incorporated, TYFL, 10 Barge Steve, Trapping and Removal of Animal Pest, Sin Energy Partners LLC, South Gibson Grain, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Sandy's Pizza, Rogers Bit Service LLC, Right to Bear Arms, Reinbrecht Homes, Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, Pro Rehab, Princeton Auto Park, Pegram Concrete LLC, MyTech Systems, L&R Off-Road of Owensville, Kissel Farms Incorporated, Julia's School of Dance, in memory of Darwin and Eric Callis, in loving memory of Zach Bailey, Ignite Heating and Air, Hilliard Lyons, Snap-on Tools, Grant Rydens, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Emerson Cattle Company, Elite Insulation, Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Daylight Land Management, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Chips, SellMyTrees.com, Best One Tire, Agrigold, A&B Contracting LLC, United Fidelity Bank, Scheller's Carriage Inn, Kathy Solomon Photography, Martin's Auto Service, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Make Your Mark, Johnson Commercial Mowing, First Bank of Princeton, Beatles Towing, and by Wabash Valley College. The Gibson Southern Titans play here all season long on 89.1 The Bash.